You might be like millions of people out there who don't want to do sales. You just don't want to be salesy. So if you have to sell something, or if that's what your income is based on, you probably want to know how to ask for the sale without being pushy. Well, that's what I've learned how to do, and that's what I'm going to share in this episode.
How do you ask for a sale without being pushy?
It's a good question, Devin.
What's wrong with being pushy, Nate?
So, one, I don't like it. I don't think anyone likes the pushy, car salesman-y type of approach. And a lot of times I think that's what people think sales is I don't want to be slimy. I don't want to be twist their arm, or I don't want to be that pushy. And luckily for me, I don't have to do that.
How do you know if you're being pushy? What are some signs or signals that your prospect might be giving you?
Well, a lot of it comes from the feelings inside that I have. So if I'm trying to sell something and I really need to make the sale, right? Like, I really need to pay my bills. Like, I'm focusing on me, and I'm not focusing on if you really need what I'm selling. Mm-hmm. So if my needs are met, and that's a topic we've actually covered in another episode, maybe we can link it up there. But if my needs are met and I can focus on you, and I'm really serving your best interest, and if I see that the service that I'm offering is really going to help you accomplish your goals and achieve what you want, then I just state the facts and point it out, like, this is the result that you'll get using my service.
Yeah, so you mentioned like you've gotten to a point where you feel like you don't need to be pushy at all. So talk a little bit more about that, about how you can get your mindset to shift a little bit in that direction.
There's a lot of sales training out there, and that's not the purpose of this episode. I'm not here to train you. What camera am I pointing to? And I'm not here to train you on specific sales techniques, but really just to share my approach and my mindset and what really works, that you can do sales without being pushy. And a big part of that is you've got to achieve a certain level of success so that you're not focused about you making the money or making the sale, which I think that can be hard. So that's a hard step to get to.
How much of being pushy do you feel like is in your mind? Like, I, the salesman, I feel like I'm being pushy, and so because of that, I'm going to act pushy.
So when you're asking that question, I had some thoughts come to my mind about pushy salesmen that I have interactions with, and oftentimes they're selling products that they don't necessarily believe in 100%. Like, somebody came to my door yesterday selling pest control. I don't know that person is really passionate about killing bugs. I don't know. I mean, there's probably some people out there that are. Maybe the people who started these pest control companies, they love just having bug-free homes. That's probably a better way of promoting their service, right? But as you become a salesman for somebody else's product or service, it's probably a lot easier to be pushy, because you've just got to push that product more and more and more and run the numbers to make the sales. So how do you sell without being pushy? Well, if you have something that you created, that you're really passionate about, that you love, and when you're talking to somebody that has the need that your service solves, I mean, those are really fun conversations to have, because it's not about using the right words or phrasing or emotional psychology or roller coaster to ask the question at the right moment and getting that yes momentum. I don't worry about any of that. What I really worry about is painting the picture and saying, what are you trying to achieve? Like, how are you going to get there otherwise? Now, if you work with me, this is what we're going to do, and this is the outcome that we expect. Does that match what you're looking for? Can you see how this is a fit? Right? This is what the program costs. That's a big sum of money. Like, can you afford that? Is that going to be too much of a burden on you? Can you wait 12 months to be able to make this revenue back before you're profitable? I mean, I'll ask questions like that to kind of, on one sense, talk them out of it. My hope isn't that they say no, because if it's a good fit, I'm really wanting them to make a solid yes decision. I'm not looking to twist their arm and then have them have buyer's remorse, but I'm really wanting them to think about it. And the more that I am upfront, these are some reasons why you might want to not do this. If you're not ready or you don't have the time, whatever I'm selling and whatever the reason's not. But if I bring those up, they're like, okay, this guy is upfront. This guy is honest. I can trust this guy. And then they look at the positives. Like one of the sales training programs that's been my favorite, it's called Sales Mastery by Tiffany Peterson. She talks about the sales process as being like a doctor giving a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. So I just look at the symptoms. I look at the results that you're experiencing and what you want. And if my service is a fit, then I'll tell you clearly what I think it can do for you, and we'll see if you feel it's a fit or not.
So after you've done that, though, like let's say that you have a prospect and you're like, oh my gosh, this would be a perfect fit here, and they still don't, they're not going to take that plunge. It feels like to me at that point, that's when it would be hard not to just hound them and be really pushy. So what's your advice in a situation like that?
Well, maybe this will surprise you, being that this is a video about sales, but if they are not fired up and excited about it, I let them go. If I used a lot of the sales techniques that I learned back in my telemarketing days or my door-to-door days, I could probably close more sales. But for the amount of money that I charge today, I don't want any buyer's remorse. And so if they're, after we have that conversation and I teach them the full picture of what's possible, if they're not jazzed about that, I just don't twist any arms. I don't go any further.
Yeah. Some of my experience is that I would almost rather have a no than a maybe, right? If somebody's just kind of like, well, get back to me and we'll see, if it is a question of, where they truly are, like, hey, maybe in 12 months, I'll be in a position where this makes sense. That's a different kind of maybe, but where somebody's just like, well, get back to me, I would much rather that they just say, you know what, this isn't a fit. And then, we high five and say, okay, like good chat, we'll probably never talk to you again. And then you're done, right?
Yeah. And I've actually had many conversations like that. And I like having a conversation with somebody who's clearly not qualified and just letting them know, like, right now, you're probably not a fit for my program, but it sounds like a really good fit down the road. I mean, when you get your business to this point, and so, when I could give some advice, like, here's the step that I recommend you take now, and it's really fulfilling when the years go by and people come back and they say, all right, I'm ready. Now, that's pretty rare that I have conversations like that. But it is cool when you follow up with people afterwards and they're following your advice. Having conversations like that, it doesn't really feel like sales.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's ever a time where it's appropriate to be a little bit pushier?
Well, when you asked that, my mind went back to when I did door-to-door sales. I sold these living scripture videos. They're videos on Bible stories and whatnot. And these sales tactics really work. Okay, I sold this package. It was a $2,000 package of 4 years worth of videos.
Wow.
And we were told, in our scripting and whatnot, that if they say this, if they give you this concern, then respond with these words and then turn the paperwork towards them and hand them the pen and then be quiet.
Wow.
So I would do that and I turned the paperwork and the lady picked up the pen and started, in my mind, I'm like, that really worked. So this is just my opinion. I don't do that anymore. It's not because I don't think that those tactics could work. Maybe it's because of the price point I charge. Maybe it's because instead of selling features, I'm selling an outcome. I'm really committed. Like, I don't just sell videos. I don't just film videos or don't just have editing or this quantity or this length or this level of production, but I sell an outcome. I'm telling people you're going to build a following. You're going to have a tribe of people who love you. You're going to generate leads and revenue in your business. And so when I'm selling an outcome, I'm committing a lot. Like that's a weight that I carry on my shoulder. Like, I just made you a big commitment. And so I'm not overly anxious to just push that on people who aren't ready or aren't necessarily a fit or who aren't going to really commit to the level that I need them to. So if you watched this far in the episode, and only if you actually have interest in knowing what it looks like to work with me, I'm going to put Devin's email in the description below, and you can reach out to him and learn what that actually looks like and have a conversation with the both of us.